Welcome to Victoria 2 Heart of Darkness. If you don't have Heart of Darkness yet, I recommend picking it up as it is more or less vital at this point in order to fully enjoy Victoria 2. This will be a setup guide of sorts, the first steps that I take on any given country before I start a time. I will also go through a few important concepts of this game. This guide will feature Brazil, and Brazil is my country of choice for players who are beginners or intermediate at the game. Unlike, for example, the United States of America, which to be honest is an automatic win upon choice, Brazil offers a broader range of challenges throughout the game while still being in a relatively safe and strategic position. In other words, an ideal learning environment. No matter what country you pick, be it Brazil, the United Kingdom or the United States of America, you'll want to place your national focuses. At the start of the game, regardless of what you play as, you'll want to put them to encourage clergymen. Clergymen has two primary major effects in this game. The first is that increased amount of research points you get. As seen here, we currently have 1.05% clergymen giving us 1.58 research points every day. At 2% clergymen, we'll get the maximum amount of research points they can give, which is free. If you're playing a Western European nation, you can be content with having a minimum of 2%. But if you're playing a country such as Brazil with a highly illiterate populace, you'll want as much as 3 to 4% clergymen. This is due to clergymen's second effects, the increased literacy gain. The optimal amount of clergymen for literacy gain is 4%. I'll come back to why literacy is so important in a bit. To place your national focuses, go into the population screen here and click this button to encourage clergymen on your two most populated states. This will over time increase the amount of clergymen in that entire state. To the right, you'll be able to see your national focuses and currently how many in the chosen state who are clergymen. When these numbers reach 3 to 4%, make sure to switch your focuses to other states. Brazil will start with no industry of any kind and will want to remain this way for now. I mentioned literacy being important, and this is one of the reasons. Factories need craftsmen to work in them in order to produce, and no one will become craftsmen unless you put one of your national focuses to encourage them until you reach 30% literacy. In addition, you won't be able to gain any clerks until you reach 50% literacy. Clerks provide an overall boost to the effectiveness of your factories. If you start industrializing too early, your factories won't be effective enough to compete and will require major subsidies from you in order to remain open. Before you start industrializing, you'll also want to pick a few technologies related to industry in order to boost the effectiveness of them. Speaking of technologies, now it's the perfect time to pick one. Which one your first pick will be depends a lot on you and what your goals and ambitions are. Here I'll mention a few very good first picks. Stock exchange is one of my personal favorites. It increases tax efficiency, which is a nice boost to your overall economy with no detrimental effects. Romanticism and aesthetics tree will give you a quick boost in prestige, which can propel you into great power status. This is great for specific things, such as if you as Sweden want to form Scandinavia quickly by sphearing Denmark. The social thought tree will boost your education efficiency, which is a good boost to your literacy gain. Biologism especially with its invention Darwinism, which gives a massive 50% boost to education efficiency. A critical technology you'll want to pick up as soon as possible is medicine in the chemistry and electricity tree due to its many inventions that lowers attrition and increases population growth as well as your supply limit. One technology tree you'll want to take all technologies in as soon as they are available is the philosophy tree. These technologies will give a vital boost to your research point gain and are very useful in order to keep up in the technology race. Finally, you'll want to balance your budget. The first thing to do is increase all taxes to maximum. When you start to industrialize, make sure to lower the taxes of the rich to minimum. This is because the rich are the ones owning the factories and you'll want them to have as much money as possible to invest in more factories and upgrades for existing ones. Taxes will be your primary source of income, but on the right side here is an optional secondary one, tariffs. Tariffs represent taxes on imported goods. This is a great source of extra income at the start of the game. However, make sure to turn tariffs off before you begin industrializing. Tariffs can cause your factories to run a deficit and go bankrupt. Above tariffs you'll find a number of sliders which represent your daily expenses. Over here you'll have a number that will inform you of what your factory subsidies cost every day, but that is only if you have subsidies on and the factory needs it. Below it are the 3 sliders representing your stockpile expenses. These are one for land, one for naval and one for construction. Your stockpile will automatically purchase materials needed to maintain your current land and naval forces, as well as purchase the material needed to build military units or construct infrastructure such as forts or naval bases. If you are at peace and low on cash, you can lower these sliders to about half. Keep in mind though that doing so will have a severe impact on your force's capability to fight, so make sure you're safe before doing so. Lowering below half can have further detrimental effects such as your ships decaying. The next slider is a very important one, the education slider. This represents the wages for your clergymen. At full, it will encourage people to become clergymen, also prevent clergymen from seeking a new profession. At full, it will also give you maximum literacy gain. The more clergymen you have, the more expensive the slider will be. Next up is the administration slider. It works the same as the previous slider but for bureaucrats. Having it at full will encourage more people to become bureaucrats and prevent people from turning to other professions. It too will be more expensive the more bureaucrats you have. This is an important slider as well, and you want it at maximum at the start. This percentage over here represents your country's administrative efficiency. This influences many things such as the ability to enforce tariffs and the amount of goods that your population needs. If it's at 0%, they need twice as many goods as they normally would. At 100%, they need normal amounts. Needless to say, you want your country's administrative efficiency to always be at 100%. You can lower this slider if you have to when you have 100% efficiency. Before moving on with the sliders, let me expand on the needs that I just mentioned. Every population type has different sets of needs. They have 3 levels: life, everyday, and luxury needs. If these needs are not met, it will have negative effects on your nation, such as increasing your militancy, which in turn will make revolts more likely. Going back to the sliders, we now have the social spending slider. This won't become relevant until or unless you have passed reforms for pensions or unemployment subsidies. Finally, we have the defense slider. This represents the wages for your soldiers and officers. If kept at maximum, it will encourage people to become soldiers and officers as well as prevent them from becoming something else. At the start of the game, you should have it remain on 50% in order to pay for your other sliders. As the game begins, make sure to readjust these sliders to make sure you don't fall in debt, and also to increase your lower sliders should your economy do well. Always make sure you have your education and administration sliders set to max. Education is the most important of those two. Now we are all set to begin the game. If you're unsure what to do now, here are some ideas for short and long-term goals for you to pursue. Short term, stabilize the economy, build an army, build a navy, become great power. Long term, expand into South America and colonize Africa. I hope this video has been helpful to you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, and if any of what I've said has been incorrect, please inform me. Good luck on your adventures in Victoria too.